Good morning. Good morning and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville's online worship. My name is Jay Tiefenbrunn and I'm very pleased to be your director of music ministries. I'll be joined later by Hollingsmith-Bourne on piano. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our online worship. If you're worshiping with us live, as we progress through the service, there are buttons available to bring you to our With You worship portal for the offering and for joys and concerns. If you're watching the replay, you can find everything you need on our website, firstuunash.org, and click the big With You worship portal button. Our opening song this morning is attributed to Rumi. However, its origin is frequently debated. Not up for debate, however, is the invitation for those seeking grace to return to their communities. Our singers from First UU Nashville gathered virtually, if you will, by sending me recordings to guide us in worship this morning with our opening song, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. I invite you now to join us, to join them in singing, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. There's the two parts, the ostinato, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, and of course the round. Join us.
Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows, whoever you are, you've broken your ashes, Father of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Yes, and come, whoever you are, from your passion, Father of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Yes, and come, whoever you are, from your passion, Father of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come yet again, come. Come yet again, come.
I invite you now to take a breath and center into your hearts and greet your neighbors. We have the opportunity to say hello in our chat windows, and it would be lovely to see you this morning.
Our chalice lighting has been adapted from words written by Betsy Dar. May the light of this chalice give light and warmth to our community when we are joyful and when we despair. May we feel the warmth spread from our circle to wider and wider circles until all know they belong to the one circle of life.
And I'd like to invite you to join your hearts and minds in the spirit of worship with a story, a true story. More than a decade ago, I was standing in a courtyard of the Peace Park that some of my Muslim Turkish friends had built in a beautiful, this is not the video time. This is a different thing. In the Peace Park, they had built in this beautiful Mediterranean tourist town with golf courses and, of course, beaches. They built this park that had a synagogue, a mosque, and a Christian church. And in the middle was a fountain. And on that fountain were engraved the words from the school of Rumi, come, come, whoever you are. And my husband and I, of course, recognize those words from the song we just sang. Come, come, whoever you are. We started to sing, and all of our hosts in that Peace Park were so moved that we too knew these words that were so important to their spiritual journey. They felt profoundly connected. Let us join worship and feel profoundly connected. Our story today is going to be illustrated through a book that my husband, Jim, Seavey, and I made of children acting out this story in southern India, where we were volunteering. It's a story of Noah and Nama's pudding as they told it, a folk story that I've heard told in different ways as we traveled throughout the world in different Muslim countries. So the video may begin. Once upon a time, when the world was new, there was starting to wear out and get dirty around the edges, and Allah, the God, looked down on the land and found a family, Noah and Nama's family, who took good care of their animals and their land, helped grow beautiful food. And he asked them to build a boat, a big ark, and to put 2 of every animal on it and load it with lots of food, which they did. They had no idea why. But here we are in the boat. But then it started to rain, and it rained and poured for 40 days and 40 nights until there was no land to be seen. And slowly the water receded. They ended up on the top of a mountain. Oh, but they were wondering if they would ever get off. They were on top of that mountain for months. The cows started to worry there'd be no more food. The birds started to squawk, "Help, are we going to get hungry?" Noah and Naamah said to them, "Go search for food that maybe has dropped in the floorboards, a piece of grain or a crumb or a seed or a piece of dried fruit, and bring them together," which they did. And Naamah made a big pudding. They called it Noah's pudding. And every night, after they had eaten nothing all day, called fasting, they would eat some of the pudding, and it was so good. They were so happy to have it. They ate that pudding for weeks, and the water slowly receded, and they wondered, would they ever find land? So they sent out Raven and Dove, and Raven stayed away. Dove came back with some food growing, but there was no place to land their boat. So they sent her out again a week later. This time she did not leave. Well, they had fasted and eaten their pudding for 40 days and 40 nights, and now there was a great celebration as they were able to go on land and thank Allah that they were all safe and sound. Now, the children at Little Lily's creche, the school that performed this, made Noah's pudding and served it after the performance to all of their families, reminding them of the celebrations they had to break their fast every day for 40 days when they celebrated Ramadan, which they are doing right now, all the way in India. They are also safer at home, so they can't go out, they can't go to school, but they are still celebrating Ramadan today with breakfast pudding every night. So ends our story.
Good morning and happy Mother's Day. My name is Denise Gouch, and I have the pleasure of serving as your Assistant Minister for Congregational Engagement. It is my pleasure to welcome you to worship this morning. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation, we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We are a welcoming congregation, and we deepen our relationships as we serve our congregation's mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world, guided by reason and compassion. I'd like to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us this morning. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it here. All are welcome to attend our services. People become members of this congregation by signing the membership book and supporting the church with their time and finances. If you are considering joining the church, please contact me. You can find my email address in the staff directory under Contact Us on our website. Following the service, we hope everyone will enjoy at least one of the online opportunities for fellowship listed in our online worship portal, and I also hope that you will browse some of the many announcements that are posted on our website. This morning, of course, we cannot pass the offering bowls to each other, but our fabulous finance and communication folks have made sure that anyone, anytime can access our online donation form at firstuunash.org. If you prefer to mail a check to the church, please write in the memo line how you would like your donation to be used. To have it credited to your pledge, please write pledge. If you write Sunday offering, it will be donated to our Share the Plate partner. For the month of May, our Share the Plague partner is SAFE. You can read a bit about their work with at-risk youth inside our online worship portal, but today we have a video from SAFE founder Jason Warner.
Hi, my name is Jason Warner, and I'm the Executive Director and founder of SAFE, Safe Affirming Family Environment. I want to thank you so much for supporting SAFE this month. It means more than you know. It's a very exciting time for our organization, and yet it's a very difficult time with the pandemic going on. We're launching our largest program that we've had over the last, since we've been in really our inception since 2011, and that is housing program for foster teens. And we have a house that we're going to be placing foster teens in with a foster mother, and we are looking to have placement in June or July. And so we have the house, and it is time to furnish the house. This house is going to be for 4 foster teens. There's 4 beds, and we're looking at LGBT teens or LGBTQ teens and sibling groups. And it's a really interesting time starting a program, as you can imagine. And so your support right now is not only needed, but is so important. There are over 100 youth right now in Williamson County in state custody, and there's only around 23 to 26 foster homes at any given time. And so this is an opportunity for us to not only help the state, but to help our Williamson County and to give these kids truly a safe, affirming family environment so that we can help them as teens prepare to age out of foster care and help them navigate that process and enter into society as adults, which a lot of young adults have difficult, who have stable homes. And so this is an opportunity for us as a community to help these youth as well. The donations that are going to be coming in from you are specifically going to be used to furnish the safe house. And we need things such as beds, mattresses, dressers, desk, kitchen appliances. And so it's a great need, and you have no idea how much your support means to us at this time. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And for more information, you can visit www.supportsafe.org.
In this season of virtual offering bowls, we are so grateful for your generosity, which sustains our congregation and helps us to work toward its mission. We are also deeply grateful for your presence with us. So I invite you now to join in our weekly ritual of gathered community. Following the upcoming musical interlude, we will share the joys and concerns submitted through the online form, provided permission is given on that form. All joys and concerns will be shared as usual with our lay ministry team. And now I invite you to bring yourself fully into this present moment. Bring yourself into the space that you are in right now, and know that it is sacred because you have made it sacred by being there and by sharing this connection with us. And as you take a few deep breaths, feel yourself part of this gathered community. I invite you to consider what joys, what sorrows, concerns that you have brought to this gathered community, to this time and place. You may feel called to join, to share those with us. You can use that online form for that. And I invite you now to take a few minutes to reflect, maybe to find the form and fill it out during this musical interlude. Let us listen.
Laura soti maptirha hanajirkum hayuni ala bukral birmakum ayuni lagani bitallil agani تجملي ذوب ani. Laurahal sotim aptirhal hanajirkom. Ayuni ala pukral bimakum. Ayunil mahani bittalil agani. Tijmali lubil maksura. Wilbit ani. Laurahal sotim aptirhal ajirkum. Laurahal mani bukral bimakum. Laurahil mughani bittalil agani. Tijmali lubil maksura. Wilbit ani.
We have a concern submitted this morning by Evelyn Cotton. She says, my friend went away to her grandma's house and I miss her. It is hard to miss our friends. And from the chat box, I find a joy, I think, expressed by Tamara Price. She writes, today the Price family are so very thankful for the Nine family. This congregation brought us together, and for that we are also so very thankful. Holding this concern, this joy, this statement of gratitude, together with all those things that we hold in our hearts as yet unspoken, let us join together in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love. On this Mother's Day, we are all mindful of the energy of mothering. For all of us, whether we are mothers in biological terms or not, participate. We all have had mothers. We all know the care for creation and the care of creation, which sustains all life. In these times of being separate from each other, we are grateful to know that we are all connected, that we share in this being human, we share in this being alive, we share in this search to find a true and good, sustainable way to live our lives. May this time we spend together fortify us for that journey in which we share company and sometimes feel very alone. May it help us to be better when we are with each other. May it help us to be connected even when we feel alone. Blessed be Amen, and may it be so.
Well, our reading today is from this book. I can actually show it to you now, right? Can I? Fethullah Gulen, A Life of Hizmet. And Hizmet means a life of service, by a religious scholar named John Paul. And the subtitle is Why a Muslim Scholar in Pennsylvania Matters to the World. But I'm going to be reading directly from the words of Fethullah Gulen, which are liberally reproduced here. And he's talking about Ramadan, Ramadan is a holiday that Muslims all over the world celebrate because it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. You may be familiar, the pillars of Islam include, there's one God, Allah, giving a certain portion of your income to charity, praying 5 times a day, going on the Hajj or to Mecca once in your life, if you can. And if you are healthy, to celebrate Ramadan, which goes for 40 days and 40 nights. And people fast from sunrise to sunset. And it's not always at the same time of the year because it's based on a moon calendar, which is a little longer than a year. So it slowly moves throughout the seasons of the year as the years go by. Our Muslim neighbors are celebrating it in the midst of it right now. So Gulen writes, the month of Ramadan appears on horizons with its charming beauties, with fasting, special prayers, and the fast-breaking dinners, and the pre-dawn meals. Ramadan brings about a heavenly atmosphere of its own. Even at times when different tensions follow one another, violence and aggression become excessive, contradiction is seen as virtue, and ice-cold winds blow between the masses. Ramadan makes its influence by reconditioning souls, fostering sound hearts, feelings, and thoughts, along with abating every kind of hardness and harshness. Muslims thus show serious respect toward this month when peace and gentleness perceptibly prevail. For this reason, in spite of different adversities, if we give our willpower its due and manage to open our heart to this very special and distinguished segment of time with heartfelt trust in its blessings, and thus become oriented to it with sincere belief, awe, and respect, then it will cuddle us and shower us with blessings. Anger, violence, and rages will cease, and an atmosphere of peace and reconciliation will prevail. In order to put these ideas about Ramadan into practice, believers, a Muslim family residing in an apartment, for instance, should invite their neighbors to a break fasting dinner, no matter what their philosophy of life is. Similarly, Muslims who teach at schools and universities or work at other establishments can contribute to societal peace by opening their table to everyone without discrimination between different sections of society. We should make use of this blessed month in such a fruitful way to the degree of not having any break fasting dinners without guests. These dinners should be enriched with abundance and diversity of guests rather than richness of dishes. As it is known, the messenger of God stated, quote, "A meal for 2 suffices for 3, and a meal for 3 suffices for 4. I'd like you to hold these words, presenting ideas about peace and diversity in the spirit of silence for a few minutes. May it be so. May peace be upon you. Now, I've been talking a lot about my travels, and to introduce the next song, I'd like to tell you that the last time I was in Turkey, Jim and I got on the Orient Express from Istanbul, and we traveled up through Eastern Europe to Transylvania, where we worshiped in a church that had been Unitarian since the 1500s. That's not a long journey. And it's very, very close, the spirit between Islam and our Eastern European Unitarians. That Unitarian church was allowed to exist because the Ottoman Empire protected those churches in Transylvania during the 14 and 1500s. The very first Unitarian churches were built there thanks to protection from our Muslim neighbors. So let us sing a song from that part of the world. Thank you.
We'll be singing Sekeli Aldash, which the words of the first part might be a little bit daunting for you. I've transliterated them here. You can hum, you can ooh, you can sing heartfelt syllables. It's a prayer, it's a blessing. We post the lyrics and use the music with the permission of the composer and also the recording, which you might recognize. Technology is so fun.
Well, we're all remembering the last time we got to go out and eat dinner with friends. Jim and I got to eat with friends at the end of February, Umut and Rose. They're Turkish immigrants who have lived here in the south of the US for more than a decade. She was a physics professor and is now studying theology while she has 3 young children. And he works for a Muslim service organization. We had a wonderful dinner talking about politics, and religion, right? It's good to have friends that you can talk about those things with. We have been to Turkey twice and have tried to learn about the politics of Turkey. They were very concerned because Fethullah Gulen, who was the Muslim scholar, teacher, and preacher that inspired them in their life's path to live a life of hizmet, or a life of service, the Turkish government is trying to extradite him. They are blaming him for a coup that happened in 2016. Now, Fethullah Gulen has never been a political person, but the politics of Turkey are very interesting. They became a secular democracy after World War I, but ever since that formation, there's been great tensions between the military, the politics, and a great variety of political parties, and they're always trying to get the religious leaders involved in that. To the point where in the early 60s and 70s, where there was a lot of violence and a lot of rioting, and Gulen was preaching peace and reconciliation. He was teaching that you could be a good Muslim and not violent, that the two did not go together, which was not popular among those who were building terrorist movements. He was lived hiding for 6 or 7 years in the 70s because people were trying to blame him for some of the unrest, but he was always teaching peace and influencing people to be able to hold being a Muslim in one hand, devout Muslim, and actually be a citizen of a diverse secular democracy. He taught that that diverse secular democracy was actually the best ground for Islam to thrive in, very different than what other people were preaching. Many of his followers wanted to become educated, to become good citizens. And so they started dormitories and tutoring centers, and then schools, and even in the end, 5 universities all over that part of the country. So it was not just in Turkey, but in the Uzbekistan and Turkestan, and places that were in the former Soviet Union. In 1999, when he was a bit older, and that was after what they called the postmodern coup, he was blamed yet again for something, and he came to America. His health was not well. Hiding out was not what he wanted to do. And he's been living in a retreat center, much like a monk, ever since. So he is teaching Islam to people all over the world from this place. He is not political. I was very happy to sign a petition requesting our state senators, Blackburn and Alexander, to please not to have him extradited. Well, over the years, not only have I learned about Turkish politics, but I've also learned much more about Islam. I see that several of you spoke about on the chat that you have been to iftar dinners as your Muslim neighbors have invited you. And Jim and I've had that opportunity. So I have studied Fethullah Gulen's writings on Ramadan to understand more deeply what this holiday, this really basic holiday to the Muslim religion, means to the people who are my friends. He teaches that Ramadan encourages 3 spiritual practices. The first is based on the time of hunger, the fasting that is during the day, and As the days get longer, that fasting gets longer this time of year. And the second spiritual practice is based on gathering with others for the iftar dinners. That's what the breakfast dinners are called, iftar dinners. And the third is based on the fact that there are special prayers and services at the mosque during the Ramadan months. So let me first talk about the spiritual practice of fasting. It's one thing to fast alone, but during Ramadan, people are fasting in community. And so for them, it is the practice of shared struggle. How do we support one another when we are suffering? It increases empathy, and it helps people who are struggling feel that they are not alone, that they are loved and cared for at that time. It also helps increase another spiritual practice of self-control, discipline, and willpower, which helps us become people of integrity. It also helps us become more resilient in other times of suffering. So the first practice is about how do we suffer together in community. But then every single day, you get to eat twice a day. So you're not suffering all the time. The second practice is how we come together in community with joy. For many of my Muslim families, that time of having breakfast, well, we call it breakfast, break fast, but for them it isn't. It's the time in the morning before they have to fast. And that's a family time. And families get to reconnect. And it's considered a great time for families to deepen their relationships. And then at the end of the day, when the sun sets, they break their fast and they practice hospitality. To my Turkish Muslim friends, hospitality is of the highest value. It is that in which they share what they have so generously. And as Gulen says, learn to lose some of their precious prejudices. They are encouraged to stay in dialogue with people of different faiths, different backgrounds, different situations. It is a time to stretch one's heart in joy and celebration to stranger and friend. Ramadan ends with 3-day celebration, the most joyous celebration of all of the Muslim holidays, and helps everybody end on this sense of we share our joys together. The third teaching of Ramadan is in this cycle of shared struggle and joy, as in all of life. There are special prayers and times to gather at the mosque, usually right before the iftar dinners. And prayers are said then before the dinner as people prepare to break the fast. They seem to, as I dine with my Muslim friends, a common tradition is to have a grace at the end of the meal. But at iftar, they do a lot of prayers before the meal. It is a time to cultivate your relationship with Allah and inner peace, which then reaches out in peace to others. Now, Fethullah Gulen lives much like a monk a Buddhist or a Christian monk in the retreat center where he is. He has people come every morning and he teaches a little bit, and then from the Quran, from all the commentaries, and from Sufi spirituality, which he teaches as the spirituality of Islam. They study, for instance, all of Rumi's writings deeply and believe that Come, Come, Whoever You Are was written on a sheet in the school of Rumi after he died by an unknown dervish. So it is the school of Rumi, they would say. Well, during Ramadan, now, Gulen spends the whole month in deep, silent meditation. He calls it fasting from the world and living with God for the whole 40 days and nights. People all over the world have come to believe that Fethullah Gulen is a saint. But things changed for the people of Hizmet in 2016. The President Erdogan, who, when I was there in 2009, was just a regular president. 2011, when I went there, Erdogan was starting to worry my Turkish friends because he was using the presidency to take away democratic rights from both the free press and from the courts, from their judicial system. Well, it just got worse. And in 2016, there was a coup. It was supposed to be an overthrow of him, but the minute it happened, he was ready for it and arrested more than 2,000 people within 2 hours. So many people in Turkey believe it was a staged coup. 2,000 judges, journalists, television reporters, and university professors were arrested and put in jail. Some of them, my friends. So it was at that time that Erdogan started requesting extradition of Gulen, saying that he was the cause of this coup. My friends who have spent their life serving others with education and with interfaith dialogue are now spending most of their time in service to refugees from Turkey. You don't hear a lot about those refugees, and they keep it quiet mostly because, quite honestly, they're mostly middle-class professionals. They can find jobs all over the world. They are doing well, but it's because they are truly helping one another. I have met some of these refugees as they have left, and they, quite honestly, were surprised and heartbroken that their secular democratic society in such a few short years became, as what one said to me, a garden variety Middle Eastern dictatorship. So, my friends here in Nashville, I love you. I'm sorry I cannot spend time with you with a breakfast dinner celebrating Iftar during this Ramadan. But I ask all of my friends, all of you, to celebrate the spirit of Ramadan by sharing our suffering at this time, all the suffering that the world is joined in, by sharing joy and celebration, deepening relationships with people that we are close to in our families, our roommates, or reaching out to others virtually, celebrating together. And finally, taking this opportunity to develop a deeper inner peace and reaching out to others with a greater commitment to a profound peace for all. May it be so.
I hope you'll join me in singing our closing song, Alhamdulillah. I put the one lyric into the chat in case you are a visual person, and that will help you join in the singing. Alhamdulillah, 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 Alhamdulillah.
The words for our chalice extinguishing were written by Elizabeth Zella Jones. You can find them at the bottom of our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I'd like to close from the words of Rumi from the Mafnwali, which is a book that my Turkish Muslim friends read second only to the Quran. The way is full of genuine sacrifice. The thickets blocking the path or anything that keeps you from that, any fear that you may be broken to bits like a glass bottle. This road demands courage and stamina. Yet it's full of footprints. Who are these companions? They are rungs in your ladder. Use them. With company, you quicken your ascent. You may be happy enough going alone, but with others, you'll get farther and faster. Someone who goes cheerfully by himself to the customs house to pay his traveler's tax will go even more lightheartedly when friends are with them. Every prophet sought out companions. A wall standing alone is useless, but put 3 or 4 walls together and they'll support a roof and keep the grain dry and safe. When ink joins with a pen, then the blank paper can say something. Rushes and reeds must be woven to be useful as a mat. If they aren't interlaced, the wind would blow them away. Like that, God paired up creatures and gave us each other. May it be so.